both those are rolling.
You look so good, man.
But this is my normal outfit.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I mean, it's like Brian, he also changed his look, you know? Which is, you can see the maturity moving in that direction too. So, I'm just gonna do the sound for both of us, sir. Alright.
You're such a pro.
Yeah, the only thing was just the Wi-Fi thing connecting so I can see what the shot is, but it helps to have another person to go for it. You know?
Right. So, wow, man. I've never done it with this many cameras.
Yeah, this is really cool.
I'm quite interested. I'm looking forward to editing this.
Yeah, I can't wait to see, and you need me to help you with that. Like,
absolutely.
I'll like fly back. And,
dude, I know, because you don't care.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, because one is I'm learning. You're actually a pro at editing. So
well, I'm experienced.
Experienced, yeah. Like I only have like 2 months worth of
right.
experience.
No, I've done it for years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then also, like I had done vlogging 5 years ago when I started TonyFloreal.com, and I had the Holy Shift Glow with the Flow show.
Yes.
But that was all self-taught. I didn't really have anybody to learn from or mentor, and then just by being around like Olive and UXReal and talking to MJ from Toronto Real, and then seeing Brian's setup at London Real Studio. And then of course when I interviewed him, he gave me a couple of tips on setup, on like how to frame the picture, and then that was it. Like that's all I had, and a couple of videos on YouTube, and just magically every episode as I was editing, things would fall into place.
It seems to be the thing with you, that things fall into place.
I think so. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's like I don't know how to fix this problem, but from what I do know with flow and the flow cycle, that it's not binary as the Flow Genome Project has talked about. A lot of people think that you're either in flow or you're out of flow. You're either on or you're off. But it's actually like from what they know, a four-part cycle. So everything begins with some sort of friction or resistance.
Right.
So they call that the struggle phase.
Right.
And most people give up.
Exactly.
First, they don't start because it's so hard to start, right? And so a lot of people, that's it. They never begin anything in life, right? Then there are the people that are the starters, but they can't finish. And the reason they can't finish because they think it's either on or off, and it's like, oh, I started writing a book, but it's nothing, and they just quit.
Right.
But what really happens is you want to keep going through the struggle phase until that point where you just feel like your brain's about to explode. And when you understand this cycle, you go to that point where you're about to burst at the seams. You're just like, oh, I can't figure this out. And then that's when you want to walk away from the problem. You know, you want to get to that point where you just can't do this anymore, and then you walk away, and that's the release phase.
You mean literally walk away?
Literally stop what you're doing and walk away from, whether you're editing something, whether you're writing something, whether you're trying to solve any kind of problem.
You're just letting it simmer.
Just let it simmer. Put it on simmer, walk away, do something like that's still active.
Right.
You don't want to watch TV, but you want to do something that's like very low energy but still active. So washing dishes, taking a shower,
Going for a walk.
Going for a walk.
You know, this works.
Yeah, so that's when you're in the release phase, and when you're moving your body, you go from releasing adrenaline and cortisol in the struggle phase. And that's great because what that does is it helps focus on what you're doing. Right. Adrenaline gets your heart rate up, you get blood flow to your brain and all of your tissues. But then you reach this point where you're so amped up that your body's like, how do I get this problem? And the only way you can get to the next phase is to walk away from the problem. And when you do that and you do this low grade activity, now you're flushing out all the adrenaline, cortisol. You're flushing that out of the system and bringing oxygen in. And then all your tissues de-stress and relax. And then that's when they say the aha moment happens.
Right.
And that's when flow kicks in. And that's the third phase of that cycle. So you go struggle, release, and then flow. And that's when the aha moment comes in. Your brainwave goes from in struggle, beta, very fast, very active, to release, to sort of alpha. And then theta is the flow state. And then they call it gamma wave, where it's like this sudden burst of electricity through your brain.
Right.
And then you're like, the solution comes.
When I sleep at 4 a.m.
That's what happens. So you're very
Right.
relaxed, and then usually the middle of the night it will come,
Yeah.
or during a dream,
Yes.
or during a walk, or while you're in the shower. We always get these aha moments.
Yeah.
And then that's when you go back to what you were working on, and you find that it all falls into place. And so that's the flow. And so you can stay in flow for some people. It's like, a couple of hours when they're doing downhill biking or something that's like physical, where their life is being challenged,
Right.
or it could be when you're a creative person and you finally found that perfect way to express that idea, or that perfect shot during editing of a show or a film. Like it just, the sound linked up to the way the person spoke and the way the frame, it just magically happened. And then of course the backside of flow is the actual recovery phase. So that's the fourth phase of that cycle. And depending on how much into flow you get into, it's very exhausting on your brain, because the brain is, they say, like 66% to 10% of your whole body mass, but it's a energy hog.
Yeah.
It uses so much energy. So in flow, you're using all your neurochemicals.
Right.
And so on the back end of flow, there's the recovery. So that's when you need to understand like how to recover after you've been feeling like superhuman. And a lot of people aren't armed with this information, and so they go into that depressing low energy state. They go from feeling like superhuman to feeling like a mere mortal, and very low energy, depressed.
But that would be like, I have a real life example would be, oh God, I got a great idea for a book. I'm going to start writing a book. And then you write, and then there's the block. The writer's block.
Exactly.
Right? Or any block. And that's where you give up, or you let it lie, or you forget about it because it doesn't feel good. Right? It doesn't feel well. If you're writing and you got a writer's block, that feels really crappy. I know.
Yeah.
You do. Probably we all do.
We all do.
That feels really bad. So then you go, I don't want to feel this bad thing. I shove it away, and you sort of don't pick it up because only approaching it already gives you that feeling. At least it does give me that feeling. Oh no. And only recently, since I read the book, The Obstacle is the Way, I understand that the winners, winner is a big word, but the people who succeed go through that obstacle. I never understood why he said the obstacle is the way, but you saying this, right, sort of
Links that up. Now you understand.
well, it makes sense.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
and so that's where, again, the winners from the losers, in that sense, like
Quote,
there are
unquote.
no losers, right?
Yeah.
But essentially, people that actually complete tasks or complete anything in life,
Yes.
were able to have, and a lot of what I'm saying had been what I picked up from the Flow Genome Project and the book, The Rise of Superman. is that-
I'm sorry, but what exactly is the Flow Genome Project?
Okay, so they're basically an organization that studies all the research that's been available on flow states and creativity and happiness and life satisfaction. And what they have done is that they created like a map of all the different research out there and compiled it into something that is tangible for the general public to understand about flow. So one of the big breakthroughs was like the dark side of flow, and no one knew like that there was this other part of flow that you literally feel like you have kryptonite on you,
Right.
you know. And their goal is to understand the biology, the chemistry, the physiology, the psychology of these flow states, create like a heat map of all these overlaying patterns, and then be able to deliver that map to people so that they would know at what part of the cycle they're in flow, whether if they're like on the back end of flow, where they're recovering to have like the sort of relaxed part of you say like, yeah, I'm in recovery right now. It's okay not to listen to my monkey brain tell me that I'm worthless, that you piece of shit. Why aren't you doing anything right now? You need to be taking action rather than sitting on your ass.
Right.
You know, and so that's the kind of thing, the information they're giving out. So they're basically saying that they want to hack flow, meaning like a programmer in computers, create a shortcut on how to get in the flow and more often, and how to recover faster. And then basically when you're in flow, you're gonna be learning a lot faster. So learning goes through the roof, creativity goes through the roof, happiness and life satisfaction goes through the roof, and you start to discover your super self.
Right.
These your potential is actually actualizing, right? So that's the goal of the Flow Genome Project, and they want to hack flow by like 2020 or something.
Is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi involved in that project?
He was one of the researchers that they had that sort of created the road, and they are in communication with him.
Okay.
And I think from what I heard that there may be some sort of interview or something coming up. I don't know.
But it's not his project.
It's not his,
Okay.
but he is one of the prominent researchers, obviously coined that word that's now used for like peak performance.
Right.
For the easiest definition is that they say is, what is flow? Flow is when you feel your best and you perform your best. There's another researcher said when you get into this state, you're even surprised at some of the things that you're doing.
I know, and I want to get into that thing. I have modafinil because I thought that would give me the how the Bradley Cooper thing.
Yeah, limitless.
Yeah. And it's totally not that. It'll give you concentration and it'll get things done. If you push on, oh goodness me, I have a deadline, I gotta push on, that's when it works. But it's definitely not a super thing. And you've got a machine.
Yeah, got that machine.
I'm super interested in that machine.
Yeah, so basically it's electricity, right? So our body is electric. Our body's actually like energy,
right.
And not in like a woo-woo sense. Like basically anybody that's been hooked up to an EEG machine that measures your brain waves, most people have been hooked up to the heart monitor. So essentially you see your heart rate, mm-hmm. and the waveform. So a lot of people have that, and some people who are like in the workout world had the opportunity to have their muscle waves, which is an EMG. It measures the waveform of the muscles contracting.
Right.
So these are all electrical diagnoses that look at the different waveforms in the body based on the tissue. So you have mainly nerves, so your brain and your spinal cord and all the peripheral nerves.
Right.
So that gives a certain wave on a screen. And then you have your heart, which is also electrical, that gives a certain waveform. And then you have your muscles, so the connective tissue. So that's muscles, tendon, ligaments, bone, skin, fascia, and some people consider blood connective tissue.
Mm.
So all these are different cells that emit and receive energy.
Right.
So the machine that I have is electrical in nature, and it looks at nerves and it looks at connective tissue. And the heart kind of falls in between.
All right.
Okay, so this device, they call it microcurrent technology. So anybody that's seen muscle stimulation, you have like these pads on, some see
Right.
Bruce Lee hooked up to them, and it's like his muscles are.
Yes.
So essentially it's like contracting your muscles without your own
Exactly. I was
volition and
thinking
will.
about that. It's not the same.
It's not the same. So that's it's also electricity, but it's a higher intensity, a higher amplitude or amp. And so it's high enough that it actually causes muscle contraction.
Yes.
Where the device that I have, it's been around for 30 years. And when it first came out, it's FDA registered, but the FDA didn't think that it had any effect because it was such a tiny electrical charge that there wasn't any sort of visible activity happening like a muscle contraction. So the first devices that got registered by the FDA were these muscle stimulators.
Right.
And so they have like these ones at the physical therapy office that are very high-end type of devices, and then you have those cheap, like you go to like some drugstore or a sporting goods store and you can buy these cheap
Yeah,
muscle
I have
stimulators.
one.
Yeah, so those are high energy. The FDA said, oh yeah, you can tell that there's something, and there was a lot of research on that.
Okay.
But with microcurrent, the device that I have, at first they didn't register because they're like, that doesn't do anything. Like it's too low of an amplitude or intensity to have any effect on the
Right.
body, at least visibly. It wasn't until two scientists that won the Nobel Peace Prize for, they called it the patch clamp. So they created this tiny clamp that they put on one cell, on the cell membrane, and then they could see under a high-powered microscope that there's these little gates that open and close on the cell membrane that allow nutrients in the cell to feed it and waste product to go out. So these little gates open and close, and how do they open? They only open at that perfect level of microcurrent, this tiny electricity passing over the cell membrane. So they call that the cell polarity threshold or something like that. I'm forgetting these terms, but basically electricity, the right amount passes over the cell, and then it opens, and that's when nutrients get in and waste product feeds it. With the high amplitude, like the muscle contraction, that is too high of
Right.
a current to actually open these tiny gates. So if you really want changes in the body, you have to get down to that really microscopic cellular level at the cell membrane and then learn how to open and close those things. So what separates the device that I use is it's intelligent. So all these other devices are output only. So you turn the dial to like 100, you get the same 100 current, I get the same 100 current.
Yes.
But the device that we have, you adjust the dial, but because it's input and output, meaning that it's not only sending current to you, but it's also receiving the information of the body from the brain waves, the heart, and muscles going into the machine, and then it calibrates, and then it sends the precise current over that cell membrane potential
But in order to open,
to unlock it.
and then what happens? I mean, why does it work?
So it works is essentially once you unlock the cell, all the cells that have been shut down and blocked, maybe from an injury or scar tissue,
You
There-
have blocked. There is
Yeah.
such a thing as blocked cells.
blocked cells,
Alright.
maybe there's dehydration by lack of minerals. So minerals help conduct electricity,
Right.
right? There's so many factors. There could be a bone pinching a nerve, so it's like a kink garden hose. So there's
Right.
no water flow,
Right.
so there's no electrical flow going to the muscles. and so the muscles can't talk to the brain, and the brain can't talk to the muscles. So this device finds all those blockages, does the feedback loop input output, opens those pathways, and then it puts the body in the same
Reestablishes the communication.
reestablish the communication,
Right.
raises the energy, because every cell is like a battery,
Right.
and then it brings you back to the sort of perfect cellular environment that's like a baby or a small
Where the
child.
mitochondria can.
Mitochondria
can actually do what they need to do.
Yeah, so
Provide-
mitochondria basically enhances the metabolic rate of the body.
Right.
So children have a lot of mitochondria, so they're just full of energy, they're just
Right.
exploding with energy. Whereas as we age, our mitochondria gets less and less, our energy ability to store energy gets less and less, and we need to restore that to have the same vitality as a child.
Right.
So the machine is designed almost like to recharge you, like you recharge your cell phone, you know? So not only does it recharge you, but it sends the perfect key to unlock the doors of your cell membrane so your cells can get fed and they can go to the bathroom, and when they have that perfect metabolism, then they're able to regenerate healthier.
Right. And you remember the breakfast we had this morning?
Yeah.
So that was not just an ordinary breakfast. Why do I make that breakfast? It's because of what you're saying right now, is that I read or saw that as you age, your testosterone levels, decrease. And in order to sort of increase your testosterone levels, because just eating away at testosterone, not a good idea. So you have to naturally increase it, enhance the production of it. And how can you do that is by a special kind of diet. And that special diet will give you, your body, sort of the message, yo, start making more testosterone. And I've been on that diet for like 3 months or so. And I'm not noticing any changes, so that's not happening, but I understand that. Does this also sort of give your, what is it, your liver, no, your kidneys, what the thing that produces testosterone?
So testosterone, they used to think that was just in the testes, in our sex organ,
Right.
but now they're recognizing that testosterone is actually made in the brain as well.
Okay.
And so that's the latest research that's coming out, and that's why there's issues with soldiers that have been in war that had like bombs go off, and
Right, shell shock.
it's shell shocked, and so that disturbed their nervous system, or they had some PTSD symptoms, and part of that is that their testosterone just drops really low, and so they can't heal their body, they can't get into the anabolic state, which is like building tissue regeneration. And so there's different tools to reset the system to help the body heal itself. And the same with this device is, once you put the perfect electrical environment in the body's intelligent,
Right.
We're the ones that get in the way. And it's not just the machine, but also nutrition. But you can take all the nutrition you want, whether it's whole foods and supplements. But if you can't open those cell gates, you just have like what they call expensive urine when you take vitamins. You pop all these
Right.
vitamins, but if you don't open those gates,
Yes.
those vitamins can't get inside where it most matter to build up that mitochondria. And then certain glands in the body aren't able to release the proper amount of growth hormone, the proper amount of
Right.
testosterone. So aging, we're really simplifying. Obviously this is really complex, and the machine that I have is not like the magic bullet. It's a tool, but it's definitely have been helping people over the last 30 years.
With
It's been-
arthritis problems, right? And even,
Yeah, so
there's
anything with
sleep disorders.
pain, sleep, concentration, just lack of energy.
Right.
So it had been approved registered by the FDA as a device that improves circulation, that is mainly for pain management, you know. You can't make any other claims other than that, you
Right.
know. But the body, it puts the body back in its most proper, optimal cellular environment.
Right.
And then the body does its own magic.
Exactly, you're sort of
Catalyzing. So people are like, oh, it's the machine that did it. It's like, no, it brought your body back to the intelligence that it knows, and then your body figured out what to do with that information. So it goes back to flow. So why do people that are locked in cities, when they finally go on vacation, they're like out in nature, all of a sudden they get a real sense of themselves because their monkey mind slows down.
right.
They get recharged.
That's what Tabitha actually is, saying with her nature process.
Tabitha from our
Tabitha Jane, from
from
our community.
London Real
From London Real, yeah,
Academy,
Tabitha.
yeah. Tabby,
She's actually, also saying, go back to nature and heal yourself.
Exactly. So that's why they're saying, like, for people to take your shoes off and go bare feet
Right.
on the ground, because then there is an electrical grounding effect that happens that calms your nervous system down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's essentially, there's different ways, many paths of Rome, as they say, to get to that place where you feel your optimal and super self, which is the flow state. And then there's different like spectrums of flow. They call a micro flow, where you're just kind of like going about the day and everything's like cruising, like you got green lights in every place that you go. It almost feels like you're in synchronicity with.
Exactly.
And then there's like macro flow, where it almost feels like you're in an outer body situation and you're observing yourself doing these amazing feats, which is surprising you, but you're so focused in the moment that there's nothing else going on in your brain. It's totally present moment awareness. And then usually it's not till you're out of it that you realize, like, what was that?
Exactly, and it feels good.
It feels good.
You want to go back, but that's difficult.
Exactly. So we were talking about earlier about rapport,
Right.
and like getting into the sweet spot. So usually when people get together,
Yes.
right, especially when they first meet, there's just this awkwardness going on, and this sort of inner dialogue happening with the outer dialogue, and then there's this moment of rapport where both people link up.
Yes.
And there is no more anxiety or awkwardness. That's the flow state.
Yes.
Right?
When I was pitching for the ING Bank, the first two people I had to pitch to, it was complete flow. I had wings. I was going, and they were going with me, and I had them on my platform, and that felt good. And I could lose that, which worried me on one side because I wasn't really, And then the second two came in, and I go like, Rocky Balboa, I'm gonna beat this. And then they come in, and that what you were talking about, that first meetup where you just felt the energy was like two magnets, not like two south poles.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, I feel this already, which makes you very aware, makes you insecure right there, and you feel that thinking going on, right?
Yeah.
And you have that with some people in some situations, and with other people you don't. Like
Yeah.
you link up, and that's flow.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
anti-flow would be the second
The
two
corollary,
people.
yeah.
Okay,
And it's possible. I think what I'm learning now is that you just have to, like, if you feel that friction or resistance, you just kind of, I call it leverage, like instead of leverage.
Okay.
So you gotta like accept that situation and like feel the resistance and feel that like pain and suffering
Right.
and anxiety, and feel it until the sweet spot pops, and that's when you're linked in. So like I noticed that with people that you just don't really vibe with,
Yeah.
it just feels like more work. It's a struggle, but generally if you give it enough time, there's gonna be that moment where there's the rapport, where the feedback loop, there is no more resistance.
So that would be the obstacles the way also
Exactly.
when you meet people. It's not only with things, it's with meetings, actually the whole thing.
Yeah,
So the resistance push on.
exactly. And then basically just, you know, some people are just don't want to interact with you, so you just accept that. But if they're like a little bit open-minded, like they're sitting there and they're just kind of like fidgeting, but they're still there with you, then you can sort of watch that magic happen by just being present. Like that resistance is a sort of like a signal, like on your dashboard, like the red light comes on, like check your engine.
Right.
So now you have this signal that maybe only you are aware of, and it's like check your engine. It's like something's going on, so you just kind of like sit with it, and then there's a moment when that light goes off.
Yes.
And that's flow.
Yes, you're happy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's going off.
This is happening, right? Like,
Right.
and so you feel that energy is just happening.
Momentum, bomb.
Yeah.
On skis, you know, you went on that hill and then you're going down.
And most people quit. That's why I said there's that phrase that you're 3 feet from gold.
Right.
Like they struggle, and like they didn't realize that they were only like 3 feet away from the aha, insight, rapport, sweet spot. There's different terminology, flow.
Although that may be true, only yesterday I saw something come up on, I think on the UXReal Academy Facebook page, where somebody posted a child on a long road, or a woman on a long road, black and white, and it said, it doesn't matter how far you traveled on the wrong road, you can always turn back.
Yeah.
Which is contrary to pushing on, pushing. So when would you know when enough is enough? When you go like, okay, this is not getting me anywhere.
Exactly. And so I think part of that is just life experience.
Right.
And then also, like what we're saying, like you brought up the anti-flow thing, right?
Oh, sort of, yeah.
So there's, like we like always talk about flow, like Floreal kind of thing, but I understand there's always like the yin and the yang, you know? And so I mentioned this morning during a conversation about like situational awareness. This is like another term that vocabulary or language that the Flow Genome Project had brought on. Because in my early days, I almost sounded like hippie and woo-woo because I was like, follow the signs.
Yes.
But that's actually called pattern recognition in the scientific world. So now I have a word that I can say, I don't say follow the signs anymore.
Right.
I can say you're looking for patterns, and then like you were saying earlier about idea sex.
Yes.
So two different things that are unrelated, you put it together and you create something new.
Right.
So you're looking for patterns. I used to say like in the Matrix you see the code.
Yes.
But now that's also pattern recognition. Like when you're traveling, you need to be aware of your environment.
Exactly.
And then know where to flow.
But that comes with age.
It comes with age. So back to what we were saying is, how do you know when to keep grinding? And,
Yes.
and then, or you just like, this is not the way, it's the obstacle, but it's a stupid, like I keep pushing, but nothing's opening. You just have to have that like sort of discernment. You have to be aware in that situation, and usually the answer will present itself. Like it'll say to you, this is ridiculous. You're trying to solve the problem with the same sort of thinking. Like
Yes.
Einstein would say, you have to approach it from a different way. And then that's when you're in a moment, you're like, no, we can't go this way. It's not working. We're blowing energy, we're blowing money, time. And you go, let's try something new.
That's all good and well if you've got enough experience, but there's a lot of younger viewers out there who don't have that experience.
Yeah.
And you're actually you're telling them, well, you know, never mind, just make a lot of mistakes now, like what you hear a lot, like fail early and fail often.
Yeah.
So take risks and take chances. So if you're young, get old quickly by failing a lot.
Absolutely.
Because that means you're sticking your neck out.
Yeah.
And if you don't stick your neck out, nothing is ever going to happen. You're getting in that comfort zone, you're going to stay there forever, and it may feel good for you. If you like it, by all means stay there. But if you've got any aspirations to go anywhere else except that little village you were born in, please stick out that neck and it may get chopped off.
Yeah.
Such is life.
Yeah, such is life, right? And I'm sure for you the same, that a lot of your experiences was like you needed to explore. You're curious. What's on that other side of the village? You know,
Curiosity.
Curiosity, and so that's like it's not anything to do with age per se too, because I
No.
meet these like young people that are so wise beyond their years.
Look like Paul Daly.
Yeah,
He's in his
right.
20s, but this guy.
And the way he reacted to some homeless person
Right.
that stumbled into his house because his roommate or somebody left the door open.
Exactly.
And
What
he
a
walks
story.
in the house and there's this stranger like in his house, and he could have just freaked out, could have like been violent,
Exactly.
you know. And he just was calm and he said like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like,
And create the flow.
created a rapport, a flow
Yeah.
with this guy, like, and the guy actually got scared and he raised his voice like to protect
Of
himself.
course, because he was expecting,
Yeah,
aggression.
aggression,
Yes.
and Paul was like, "Would you like some tea?"
And that's,
And the guy just, his face dropped
Yeah.
into like, wow, like
okay, I wasn't expecting this.
exactly, and then it
Yes.
turned into this incredible moment of healing, you know, and
Absolutely wonderful story.
and most people are like, I would have called 911. I would have like,
Yeah.
thrown stuff and like, get out and yelled at this
the
guy.
monkey brain or the lizard brain going, flee or fight or those
Yeah.
4 Fs, and he didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
He overrode the program,
Exactly.
right? He went to the neocortex. Or
He didn't get
midbrain.
hijacked. by
Right,
the,
right,
yeah,
right. And that's so wonderful. And he's 20-something years old.
yeah,
So, like you say, actual age has nothing to do with it.
yeah,
It's the way.
exactly. And maybe, he had these early experiences and he would be a great person to have a conversation with. Like,
Absolutely.
how were you able to remain so poised
Yeah.
in the eye of the storm in this situation, right?
Yeah,
Like, a lot of people, and again, like we said this morning, we can like hypothesize or speculate how we're going to react in these kind of environments, and that's what the military does in all these like police programs. They
Right.
sort of train you to prepare you for these situations, but it's not till the situation
Right.
where it's on, you're either like dialed in or you're out of there, or you're
Exactly.
not, you're being hijacked, or you're actually
Right.
in control of the wheel. So
They do the same with horses, by
Yeah.
the way. Police horses, they're trained to be okay with noise and people doing crazy stuff. I mean, if you can do it to a horse, you can do it to yourself.
yeah, exactly. And that's what's great about the science and research now, is that they're realizing that we're plastic,
Yes.
that if you have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, like the fixed, we were joking earlier, like the bumper sticker, God, I'm good.
God, my father, yeah.
Yeah, God, I'm good.
He believes he really is.
Yeah, like you're just like, I'm the best thing ever.
God's
right?
gift to this planet.
Exactly. And when you have that mindset, you don't ever want to learn or grow.
No,
You're
right.
you're perfect. So
You're
why
perfect.
do I need to like try anything?
Born
if I
Superman.
try anything and I fail, then I'm not
Exactly.
good. It's
Exactly.
like, God.
Exactly. And your machine actually yields a lot of well-known people, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it in that term. More, it just puts people in that clear state,
Okay, that's what it does.
without resistance. And again, it's the same feeling you get when you're in nature, and the noise, the static is down to that crystal clear signal of that you're dialed into that radio station, not just 101 point, it's 101.76321, right? It's so precise that there's no more static.
Mhm.
So that's the clear signal, where you have full bar on 2 cell phones, where unclear signal and static is like you only have 1 bar, one person has 1 bar, the other has a full signal. So it's like, what did you say? Repeat that. Or both bars are down and it's like useless, let's just hang up. So the same with the machine, is that it brings those bars up,
Right.
and it raises the level of the batteries to full charge.
It's almost too intriguing. I need it.
Absolutely.
Olive has been on it, right?
Yeah, Olive from UXReal has been on it. She's tried it. We have these high on flow parties where
people get a glimpse of that feeling. And usually in traditional parties, there are no alcohol, no substances. It's all natural, and it's like good food, potluck, water, juices, and people feel themselves for the first time, maybe since they were little kids, and everybody's just, there's this pulse of the party, and they're just like in the moment, rapport with each other,
Yes.
and there's music, and for the first time in their life, they didn't have to drink or take some substance to calm that monkey mind static noise. The monkey mind is fine, it's just there's a time and place to use the monkey mind for analytical reasoning. You're working at a problem, you're chipping away, so all these ideas are coming, but most of us are ruled by our monkey mind because we're under stress.
But with monkey mind, do you mean the lizard brain?
Yeah,
Or
so there's the lizard brain, which is like survival.
Right.
So like, I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to fuck, I need to, kill.
Yeah, kill.
Monkey mind is the higher cognitive parts of our brain that now is in the reasoning and thinking.
Ah, right, okay.
The other one is just more instincts
Right.
and reactions.
So, but we have the neocortex.
Now we have the neocortex, which is analytical,
Right,
reasoning,
right.
logical, but also creativity.
Right, the monkey mind is the midbrain basically. So next level up from the lizard brain. Right?
Yeah.
And what makes us human is that neocortex.
Yeah, and that's the conscious awareness and knowing when to use your neocortex to think and like solve problems. But the problem is when you experience stress, and then the reptilian brain hijacks the whole system.
Exactly.
So each part of our brain and our system, it's not good or bad. It's just when are you using it in the proper context and situation.
And meditation helps you calm it all down.
It's training.
Right.
So it's learning the skill, like when do I need to use the reptile? When do I need to use the monkey brain?
Right.
When do I need to use the higher cognitive function? This myth about the left brain being logical and the right brain being creative.
Or the 10% you only use.
The 10%, it's all myth. The
Nonsense.
brain is always working, but some parts turn on and some parts turn off.
Right.
And so as you become more aware through these tools like meditation, plant medicines, aka psychedelics, kind of have a stigma with this, but these are all tools, including this machine technology, the sleep, sunlight, exercise, like all of these things, when you learn to adjust them and create this sort of recipe for yourself, now you're cooking this amazing meal of potential, right? And you need a little bit of salt here and a little bit of spice here, and you create this yourself as a creative expression of like super potential, right? That becomes actualized.
Right.
And so
Maslow's.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so that's when you
Beautiful.
really know yourself and you get into this sweet spot and the pulse of life, and you're like connected to nature, external, internal.
And that's where the magic happens. Right?
That's when the magic
Things come
happens.
to you.
It comes
Like
to
what
you.
you get all the time.
It falls into place,
Right.
and you're aware. But you see that drama, your old patterns and habits, and your stories, and you don't even need a bomb to go off in front of you. You're having bombs go off in your mind because your monkey mind's overthinking, overanalyzing, and then your reptile's like, I don't like this thought, and then your reptile hijacks the whole system, and then you go blind, and then you're like, what just happened? Like you become aware, and you're like, where did I go? Like,
Exactly, yeah.
you've been running in your mind, even though physically you're here in this room, you're actually running stories in your mind of your past and your traumas or the future, like anxiety, the unknown, like it's like and so you're in your mind, but I could have a conversation with you, and most people when they first meet are in their mind.
Right.
And that's what the friction, that's learning how to read the physiology, because present people see cues and clues, and then they see, oh, this person they're on their phone, they're not paying attention, and you have to somehow engage them to become present with you, so that there's presence, group presence, and then rapport and magic, and that's when people link up, and it's like the idea sex are happening, and these amazing conversations.
I do have to say that Idea Sex is James Altucher. So
Yes.
just give him credit for that.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's gonna say he heard that from
Oh yeah,
somebody
he steals
else.
from everybody.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll just name him.
Yeah,
I will
absolutely.
cut it out there, but
That's why I mentioned the Flow Genome Project, because I thank them for giving me the language of flow,
right.
so that I don't sound so like crystal, like wizardy woo.
You don't at all. You sound very sane, and you get all your information basically from science, and not only that, but it's also proven science. And I don't know what that really means, because science nowadays is sort of like a religion, and it's a dogma. So what that exactly means, but that's at least a lot of people relate to that and say, okay, then it's real.
Right,
Then it's
right.
not hocus pocus.
Hocus pocus,
Right.
or it's spiritual.
It's
or-
spiritual. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I love science because it has these like rigid rules that they have to follow in order to sort of make real these phenomenons,
Yes.
right? So for a while, like, people thought the Earth was flat, and that, you know, the only reality is what we can see with our senses. But obviously, there's like ultraviolet light that we can't see, that animals can see, or sounds that
Bees
we
can
can't
see.
hear. Exactly, or infrared, and
Yeah.
like, so there's this world that's around us that we can't see, but through scientific method, it's no longer, you know, like weird, because, you know, religion used to like kill people for saying that there was, you know, the world wasn't, the world is flat. I mean, they thought the world was flat. Like,
Or that the sun doesn't rotate around the world. The
Yeah,
earth,
yeah, that
but
the
the other way
earth at the
around.
center of the
Oh,
universe.
Copernicus got a lot of trouble for that one.
Exactly, right? So, you know, thank goodness that science is able to prove these things. But there are these phenomenons that happen that I'm not waiting for science to confirm it. Like telepathic things that happen where, like, I'm thinking about somebody and then the phone rings and it's that person. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the statistics just doesn't make any sense to me. Or I brought this up before, when I hear stories of my grandfather fighting in World War II, fighting battle after battle, and saving.
For Greece or no?
No, he was part of the Philippine Scouts that sort of joined up with the U.S. to fight against the Japanese.
Right.
And he went battle after battle after battle. He watched his buddies get killed and blown up, but not a single bullet hit him. And he, even engaging in fights, he never got stabbed. Like if we're just talking about bullets whizzing and bombs coming off, and you go battle after battle, like, at a certain point, you gotta get hit. I mean,
You would say.
you would think. I don't think statistics can. It's limited, because there's sort of like, it almost sounds miraculous that, like, some people make it through and some people don't. Like Saving Private Ryan, I think, really exemplifies this example I'm giving, because you have the Germans that are up on, you know, and they're on Normandy Beach, and they're up on the hill with these machine guns, and these are all sitting ducks coming off the boats, or the U.S. soldiers,
Right.
and how some of these soldiers maneuver through all these bullets and bombs.
Well, I heard that apparently it's quite difficult with a machine gun, to actually hit people. Now, you could imagine that.
Right?
But actually, it's not that easy as they make it seem in movies.
Yeah, I guess, you know, that's a great point. I guess when you have adrenaline and cortisol running through your
Right.
system, then you're gonna not be accurate.
Right.
Whereas when you're in flow,
Right.
everything is poised, and you have that ability to stay still and
Right.
center, and you can hit your targets. But like a machine gun, that doesn't matter if you need to be accurate. That thing's shooting everywhere.
Everywhere.
So I don't know. I mean, I've had these phenomena that happen to me in my life that I just can't think that science can replicate it repeatedly.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
so that's where
Science
it goes
defaults.
beyond science. Like I think
Yeah.
science with the computation power of computers, they're talking about the singularity.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe computers are going to get
Kurzweil.
powerful enough that they're going to be able to replicate these sort of seemingly unreplicable events.
Goodness me, that will be the day, because they're having, I think they, right now, at this moment, they replicated a 100,000 part of a rat brain.
Yeah,
Like, that's what they got now. And,
Yeah.
But of course, it's exponential.
yeah,
So like Moore's law, so it's going faster and faster. And already, I read, they're already at a stage where it's almost about to explode. And like with the internet, went from very slow, and then goes like whoom, and when it does, it will go from a general artificial intelligence, call it AGI,
yeah,
to eventually an intelligence that will be the same as like 1 million human brains.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I've just read this article. Elon Musk
right.
of Tesla is very, very concerned about
He's
this
concerned about it.
super intelligence through computers and
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
And the first time in history that because there's so much speculation about whether there's other life in other galaxies, because they're realizing like how big it is,
Enormous.
and statistics say that there is a high probability that there's these other like Earth-like planets
Right.
in these other places, and something about this super intelligence that they have maybe been evolving and around longer than we have, and so they've developed the intelligence that may be like way higher than us,
Right.
or it could be like they were able to download into these exoskeletons, so they didn't need like flesh bodies anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's all interesting,
It's more than interesting, and actually that what you just brought up, that is a thing in science, and it's actually got a name which I totally forgot right now, but it's a maybe we're being watched right now, and like we can't understand that level, and so we don't see it.
Yeah,
Notice
that's what they were saying in that article, that like an ant is in its own
That's
little
the example,
world,
right?
and as humans we can observe the ants, but they're not even supposedly that they're not even aware of us,
No.
or they are. They can sense and get run away from us or try to, but they don't understand the level of intellectual capacity that we have, where we can like create things. They create these amazing. My microphone's falling into my shirt here.
How sexy is that?
Yeah. Wow. Talk about some sort of event. Yeah, but so we're like ants to this other super intelligent.
Right.
Like we can't even fathom or have the
Exactly.
capacity to understand what they understand, because we just don't have that capacity.
Yes. I'll look up the name later, and I'll put it under the video what that is called. But it's a special name, and this is what it is. And there's like 3 possibilities. One is, and they're not good. Neither of them are good.
Yeah.
One of them is they visited already, right? And the other is this latter, which you're saying that we just cannot fathom.
Yeah.
Where you like the ant, and you move the trail of the ant away, they don't know where to go, and the stick was just here, the stick is gone now. Oh, magic!
Yeah.
Magic! Oh, and that's what we're doing. I'm sort of
Getting like caught up there in the web of the microphone.
How long do we have?
Yeah, we're just about almost done there. Battery life it's gonna end soon, so I think we should wrap up.
Okay, man.
Yeah, back to the Flow Genome project.
Yeah.
So that's what they're trying to do, is sort of bring science around these flow phenomenons, or I call them flow nomenons,
Yeah, right.
because these elite athletes that put their lives on the line, from extreme athletes to soldiers, they experience these sort of seemingly miraculous events that they can go through battle after battle and not get hit by any kind of implements, or these extreme athletes that can squirrel suit through the tightest spaces or next to each other, like you know, a school of fishes or birds, a flock of birds, they're in sync
Right.
with their brains. So they're trying to make that tangible and available, hack it and make it available to the general population, to make us our best selves.
Right,
As
that's
the
what I want.
London Real Academy
Exactly,
talking about.
especially my memory, because that's shot at birth.
Yeah,
I need a
exactly.
better memory.
So-
plug it in.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, man. It was a great talk.
Definitely.
Yes.
It was a great 2 days.
Great 2 days here in just south of Amsterdam in The Hague.
The Hague, yeah.
The Hague, yeah.
Do please come back with your machine.
Yes.
And we'll have those parties here.
Okay, we'll definitely have the high on flow parties and, you know, give everybody a taste of
Yeah,
the magic of microcurrent.
Absolutely. Everybody should just come on over and look at beautiful flats Holland in winter.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. It's fun. I can't wait to come back. So,
Yeah, you're always welcome.
yeah, thanks, man. Awesome.